The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are one of those wonders that make you stop and think for a moment. Not because they were massive or powerful, but because they were beautiful. Too beautiful, honestly. Beautiful enough that people still argue about whether they ever existed at all. Let's walk through the story. The first descriptions came from ancient Greek historians who never even saw the gardens themselves. They heard stories about a giant man-made mountain covered in layers of terraces, each one overflowing with plants, trees, and flowing water. According to the legend, King Nebuchadnezzar built the gardens around 600 BC for his wife, Amytis. She grew up surrounded by mountains and forests, and the flat desert of Babylon didn't feel like home. So the king decided to recreate her homeland, not with small gardens or potted plants, but with an entire green mountain in the middle of the city. It's romantic, almost too romantic, which is partly why some historians doubt it. Imagine walking through a hot, dry city and suddenly seeing this huge structure rising above the walls. A series of stone terraces stacked on top of each other, like giant steps leading to the sky. Each terrace filled with trees that shouldn't even be growing in that climate. Thick vines spilling over the edges, and colorful flowers everywhere. Water running down the sides in thin streams that sparkle in the sun. Some descriptions say it was so green it looked like the whole thing was floating above the desert. If you try to picture it, it doesn't even feel ancient. It feels futuristic. The part that gets historians excited is the possible irrigation system. To keep those plants alive, the Babylonians would have needed a constant flow of water from the Euphrates River. But the gardens were high, so how did they move water upward? One theory says they used a chain pump. Another says they used an early version of the screw mechanism. Whichever method it was, it would have required skill, strength, and insane engineering for that era. Think about it. A whole artificial mountain of greenery, fed by a non-stop water system, in the middle of the desert thousands of years ago. If that alone doesn't make it a wonder, nothing does. Here's the twist. We have no physical evidence. Nothing in Babylon has been found that perfectly matches the descriptions. Some archaeologists believe the gardens were real, but destroyed long before anyone could document them. Others think the whole story was misattributed, and that the real gardens were located in a different city entirely, like Nineveh. And some believe the gardens were simply exaggerated over time until they became this legendary place that may or may not have existed. But maybe the mystery is part of the magic. A wonder that people can feel, imagine, and debate, even without ruins to touch. Some ancient writers claim the gardens were so lush they created their own cool air in the desert. The terraces were supposedly strong enough to hold full-grown trees sitting on stone beams. Babylon itself was once known as the Gate of the Gods, so the gardens fit perfectly into that grand, mythical atmosphere. If they truly existed, they would have required thousands of liters of water every single day. Whether the Hanging Gardens were real or not, the story survived for more than 2,000 years. Maybe that's the real wonder. A place that existed so vividly in people's minds that it became unforgettable. A reminder that humans have always dreamed big, sometimes big enough to build paradise in the middle of the desert.